How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jimmy. We're making it work. If you're new and you're wondering, who's this guy in the dark, real early in the morning, opening up the shop? That's what we're doing. What we're doing is getting ready to spend a day in the shop fixing cars, classic trucks we got. We got some vehicles that have been here waiting for parts for a while. Probably going to get to some of those today. What I'll do is I'll put some clips in so you'll know what to expect in today's video. 2008 Mercedes-Benz. A skim module or a scream module, depending on who you talk to. 2016 Scion. Sebring time. We're here pretty early. We're watching the sunrise behind me. Beautiful morning, about 67 degrees, 68 degrees. Real nice, low humidity. Great working weather. I hope you're out there getting something done too today. You can watch my YouTube videos, but don't watch them all day. There's 2,000 of them, so you probably could without much trouble at all, really. Yesterday was a little bit of an odd day. We looked at a lot of cars. We fixed a couple of them. We might fix more of them today. We'll see. I got to get house coffee this morning and get in there and finish getting this place opened up because I'm really anxious to learn a thing or two and have some fun. Stay tuned. That's not supposed to be like that. 2008 Mercedes-Benz. One of the most desirable cars in this town. It's a C300. And this poor thing has seen it all. It's been around the block a time or two. It's got 219,616 miles of love. Customer request headlight bulbs. Never heard anything like it. But what's really weird is the timing chain rattles on startup and it surges and it runs rough. The check engine light flashes. Right now, I don't know if you can see that. I'm not moving the camera, it's shaking. TPMS codes, SRS codes. There's a flashing check engine light. Check right tail and brake lights. Check coolant level. Auto lamp function inoperative. Check left license lamp. Front left side marker lamp, front right side marker, low beam, right low beam, brake pad wear, tail and brake lights, service exceeded by 2,700 miles. Customer request headlight bulbs, which one of them looks like it works. Kind of strange. I don't know. You know, level rating at 3. I want to go lower probably, but at least there's no open food containers and stuff. So I'm going to be generous because it's my first job today. Ooh, she's a rough girl. Let's get the hood open. I think it pays like 0.9 for the headlight bulbs. So they should be pretty easy. We'll see. Where is it? Okay. A little slow today, it seems like. Still waiting on a bunch of parts though for other jobs. Yeah, that's not gonna work. This is why when someone comes in with a car like this and asks for headlights, you go, why do you want headlights? They probably don't realize they need the whole headlight with the wiring harness in it, because what happens on these, that wiring insulation corrodes off of there and they touch together and then the headlights don't work. So let me go let them know up front there's no bulbs. Someone took the bulbs out so that it doesn't keep blowing the fuses probably or something like that. This is how we're starting the day off. That's all right, don't worry. I get a little sad, but I'll be fine. Look what we got. A skim module or a scream module, depending on who you talk to. I'm guessing it's a skim, but it makes you scream when you work on it. This is all loose already. I'm not sure why. One Phillips screw, you take this turn signal arm out here, or the wiper arm, whatever it is. I think it's wipers, right? Turn signal's on the left. And then there's one Torx up here. If I can get to it without seeing it. Climb in here and see it better. Now we're cooking. This might not be the right size. I totally guessed. Nobody likes a bragger. Keep it to yourself, Jimmy. And once I get this in, then I'm gonna figure out why this is all loose. I'm guessing there's a screw missing here. Maybe a screw somewhere else, but to do that part, you gotta take the airbag and steering wheel off. This little Phillips holds this and blocks this from me from getting to it. I'm not sure why the other one broke, but I'm just kind of coming in the middle here. You know the deal. If you watched yesterday's video, I tested the screen module, or that module we got on cowl, it had power and ground, but it's not doing anything. It's like it's not even there. And I tried disabling their aftermarket stuff. I think that's a remote start or something like that, which you don't need that in Florida really. I guess maybe to put the air conditioning on or something. We're gonna do this because the remote worked the doors and the key works in our transponder tester, but the car doesn't see it, and the only thing that helps it see it is that module. Since it had good power and ground, we're gonna put it in. It's part of the diagnosis at this point. Shouldn't be too bad. I think I gotta do some key learn. It says you need 2 keys in the instructions, and I asked them to get a second key, but of course you know how that goes. I'm going to try with 1 key. That's what they want to do, and if it doesn't work, then we'll get another key, and we'll row your boat so you don't drown in nonsense. Well, a friend of mine works at Tires Plus, and he told me that they're going away from commission-based repairs, paying the mechanics flat rate over there. Feel bad for the Tires Plus guys. That's the moral of that story. Let's see if this works better. This goes like this. Snaps onto the lock arm. I'm not sure where the old one is either. Someone moved it. Now this screw can go in without snapping it. Allegedly. Now this ring around the key is what picks up on the key fob. Plug this in. I'm not putting that aftermarket stuff back in. So the customer got to the point where he was just like, can you bypass the starting and the security circuit and just get me a lead off the battery? I can use a toggle switch. We're like, no. That is not how you do it. Oh, you know what? I did plug the wrong one back in. Just unplug that again. The problem is, I mean, I see a lot of videos where YouTubers make custom wiring and stuff like that, but we can't really do that because we have to warranty it. Being a Napa Care Center, every repair comes with a nationwide warranty. It's not going to start, but I'm going to try it anyway. Let me get the scanner. I'm going to put this back on because this is not coming out either way. Can't return an electrical part. Well, some people do it, but you're not supposed to. Little Phillips screw goes right back here where it's really hard to see. And I only spotted it because I was looking around to find out why this was loose. That's kind of cool. Alright. Key on. Intelligent diag. I'm going to get this thing in the security area where I can learn keys, and we'll see how it goes. Alright. In the wireless control module, you can see here the ignition's in run. It's commanding engine kill. There are no key fobs programmed. The skim key in ignition, no fob. Seed request to engine false. Valid skim key false. Basically means, hey man, what's going on? I don't see any keys. You haven't programmed me yet. Our next thing is to go into special function. Program ignition keys Omron skim only. Wireless control module replaced. Reset ECU, check VIN, PCM replaced, update pressure thresholds. We can pick from those. I'm thinking it's this one, but I'm going to see this one first, see what it says. Now I have the pin. I've got to go ahead and enter that again. Well, that's unfortunate. When I go in, I enter the pin that we had in the other, for the other module. The pin let me in the security thing, but with this new one, it won't let me in. And it says unable to program the module without the correct pin. Putting the incorrect pin in 2 or 3 times will cause the ECU to enter anti-scan lockout. Probably have to call a locksmith or take it to the dealer, I'm guessing. I definitely want to try it. I tried it once. If I try it a second time, there's only one left before it goes into lockout. I don't know what that means. I would assume for 30 minutes or 60 minutes you can't do it anymore and you gotta wait. It's just to keep people from stealing them. If it does it really quick, then they can just do something in a few minutes and get it to start, right? So let me go ask them up front how they want to attack this. We have a third-party programming system that we have in a big giant box. You call somebody up, they talk to the car, you talk to the car, you talk to them, and they do the programming, so you don't pay the subscription. So we'll see, we may do that. Uh-oh, came back to my beta. Mercedes is gone. She just wanted the bulbs. She didn't want to do the wiring and stuff, so they pulled it out. I got a 2002 Chrysler Sebring with suspension noise somewhere around here. Oh, that is not running good. They're going on a 900-mile trip and they wanted us to check suspension noise real quick first. Oh, man, it is not running good. They didn't ask about that. Just about the suspension noise. It's cutting out and misfiring. These old Sebrings, boy, these are money makers. If you want to make a mechanic rich, you need a Mercedes or a Sebring. And I'm completely serious, I'm not kidding. So these cars, the new ones are called the Chrysler 200. Same car. They changed the name because the reputation got so bad, but people love them as convertibles too, because it's a fairly inexpensive convertible. And I've got some videos where I fixed the convertible tops and stuff. It is a convertible. The headliner looked like it wasn't, but then I see these little handles and these latches. Anyway, 48,319 miles. Super clean car, like a 9. It's basically brand new, even though it's 22 years old. 48,000 miles. I get vehicles in here 6 months old with more mileage than that. The way that thing ran was not good at all, but he didn't ask about it. And he's actually a friend of the guy with the old Dodge, the 79 Dodge Warlock. It's his buddy. So we can look at that suspension and see what we can find with that. My old light, my new light, looks like this one came black, but it didn't. This material just attracts dirt, very much so. Oh, look at that. That's not supposed to be like that. The whole radiator support is tilted back. No, that'll make a noise. So while not having the compressor tight. Oh, you know what it is? The bolt's broken. That is fine. Don't you worry about it. Motor mounts are broken. What do you think? What do you think? Got a little transmission fluid leak. I've done a bunch of these solenoid packs on these too, but this one's only got 48,000 miles. Definitely got transmission fluid leaks going on though. Definitely got sacked out motor mounts. Ooh, that ball joint's not good. We're gonna have to see how much play is in it. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that's some kind of a problem. Let's see what kind of front end play we got. Those look pretty good. I'm gonna squeeze that. Yeah, the way this is, I can pry it because the spring is on the lower arm on a strut style setup, and the knuckle and the upper arm are not connected to that. The ball joint will show me play with a pry bar. The way that's set up. Oh yeah, that's not terrible, but there's play in it. This one's worse, but they're not completely blown out. They just have a little play, like 30-40 thousandths of play. I was hoping to find something really obviously bad. I'm gonna have to take it for a drive and see what he's talking about with the noise, just to be sure we're on the right track. And I'm not, you know, I see a lot of problems I could talk to him about and we can repair. But I want to make sure I'm fixing the one he's concerned about the most. Well, I don't know what that is, but I'm thinking it's some kind of a cushion that's on the front strut. I know the upper ball joint is also missing the boot. The rear upper ball joints are missing the boots. Just the tiniest bit of play. They can probably go a while longer. Obviously, they don't drive the car that much. My concern is they're going on a long trip. I'm also concerned that it doesn't run very good. So 48,000 miles, it shouldn't have ran that bad. It's acting like it's got a big old vacuum leak or something. No, that's not tight. Don't worry, we can fix that real easy. We got ASC certifications. Look at this. Now that won't cause it to not run good. It's not really a vacuum leak, but that will let it get unfiltered air. Air goes in here. It's not going through the filter first, right? Kind of defeats the whole purpose. Everything else looks pretty good on this. The transmission, I cleaned it all down. I'm gonna run a little bit, see if I can pinpoint where the leak is. They could have just spilled fluid or something too. I'm not really sure. The low mileage is what's making it hard to fathom that it could be bad already, but the problem with seals and gaskets age, not necessarily mileage. They care more about heat cycles and time. Rubber shrinks and hardens over time no matter what. So I'm gonna have to open this up, take a look at the air filter, unless I can sneak it out of here or some cool trick like that. Take a look at a spark plug. I'm even gonna put my scanner on it too, and see if there's any kind of codes. Even though I don't see a check engine light, it was running pretty bad. So let's do that real quick. Oh, we got a Mercedes update before we hook it up. I shouldn't have started it because it's probably going to take 10-15 minutes. We'll see. Oh, look at that. He's got a cream puff coming off the flatbed. Land Rover must have a dead battery. They can't get it off the wrecker. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm going to do a full inspection on this as well. The wipers look a little sketchy. See how folded over they are? That's not good for a good wipe. I mean, they'll probably work, but the new ones are creme de la creme, especially going on a trip. So, yeah, air filter, probably original. That's a cool trick, though. Uh-oh, we found more updates. I'm guessing Porsche is going to be the slowest one. Every single German brand, even Ferrari. Ferrari was the first one done, which makes sense because it's faster than Porsche. My goodness gracious. That's 25 minutes between the two German brands alone. The rest of them, no problem. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. I don't understand how some things, you guys can tell probably. Some things in this business are awesome and a pleasure to work on and a pleasure to deal with, but other things, boy, they really test your patience. Car does not support automatic VIN, so you go local diagnose, American, Chrysler. Okay, now it should do it. All right, let's let this go and we'll see what happens. Whew, my legs are tired from dancing and rowing. I'll tell you what, there's no codes in the PCM. It's got a TCM code for battery was disconnected, which these Chryslers, the battery goes in the wheel well. It's down there, and it does, probably hard for you to see, but it does look new, or fairly new. They kind of stay looking that way because of where they're at, kind of, but trust me, that label is mint. So I'm just going to clear that battery code out of TCM, and they're working on a suspension estimate, and we'll see what happens with this car. So perfect, no codes. All right, that was 30 minutes of my life I won't get back, but I do feel like I tried, so that's something, right? I'm going to let the lift down so we put some weight on the shock. Oh, that's not good. Not supposed to do that. The old Dodge. Customer came back. I didn't film it because the customer was helping me. But he said it won't start again. I don't know what's wrong. It won't crank. And I started looking around and he was helping me, so I didn't film it. And he said, cigarette lighter started smoking in the dash, so I disconnected that. Had a blown 40 amp main fuse, and it's got a bunch of wiring things going on with the cigarette lighter, where he tapped into that 12 volt feed to the cigarette lighter for like 4 or 5 different accessories, which I guess they've been eliminated as bare wires. So I just cut some of the bare wires off, made it so they were held up and not touching metal, and put a new fuse in it, and starts again. I told him if you want to get all that fixed, we have to get in your dash and clean up all that wiring. He's driving it every day apparently. He said he needed it running so he could move, but he's telling me he was going fishing and it broke down. That's one of the things with old cars you got to realize. People are fixing that old stuff and they'll tell you whatever they got to tell you to get it fixed, and they don't normally want to spend any money, but they have very high expectations, and it's one of the main reasons most mechanics don't want to mess with them. Because when you work on something that's 30 or 40 years old, you fix something and a week later something else happens and they'll be mad at you. He's not mad, but he did say, I hope you can get this thing running for me again. Like real sarcastic. But it's running. Moving on. We got a stacks of parts they just brought me. I guess we're doing the Sebring, but first, 2016 Scion. Got evap code P0456. And the customer works on it himself a little bit. It's upside down and only halfway down in the terminal. That's terrible. I'm tempted to fix it for him, but it might clear out memories and stuff, so we'll just put it on the list and see if he wants us to play with it, and if we can figure out what's leaking. He came in asking for an evap smoke test, It's got 78,000 miles. It's basically a Toyota and it's already broken. That's a shame. Very clean car. I'm gonna give it like an 8. It looks pretty nice. I'm gonna lift it up and do a visual inspection because he came in asking for a smoke test, not a evap diag. That tells me he's already been playing with it and knows something's leaking. Let's take a look. Oh, that's not good. Neither is that. It's got axle boot problems on that right side axle. The left one's been changed. Normally if it's a tank on these, you'll see a little stain of gas somewhere, which I do not see anywhere. Nice and dry everywhere. But a common problem that these have, they'll crack around the fuel tank sender, the housing, like a module assembly, whatever you want to call it. And that's pretty common. The solenoids also stick on them and cause codes and things too. It's basically a Toyota. Not even basically, it's 100% a Toyota. It just says Scion because they thought it'd be a cool brand for the kids. And it worked for a little while. But kids don't buy enough cars apparently, so they're gone now. Anyway, let's take the gas cap off. I got my smoke machine adapter. I can put smoke in the gas tank. We'll see if it comes out somewheres. Alright, got my Ansel smoke machine. I got baby oil in the gauge. Got to plug it into a 12-volt battery. Got my little adapter. Goes in the gas cap hole. You want it in there pretty snug so it doesn't let too much smoke out, and it goes in that way. Once we plug this in, you could turn it on for just a fan or for smoke. Number 2 is towards that way. Smoke. So as we get some voltage, we can start checking for leaks. And they are strong. The heck? There it is. And we can check to make sure it's making smoke. I'm popping this out of here. Smoke. Alright, I'm going to lift it up, take a look around the gas tank. That's what I'm suspecting, but we'll see. Give it a minute, get it up to here. Sometimes if one of these hoses is left off, there'll be a problem because of that, but I'm not seeing any of that. Let's look underneath. My connection's leaking a little bit, but that's alright. We won't let it deter us. I thought I saw smoke for a second up there. Might be hard for you guys to see, but this, I'm using my stream light. It's a little brighter than the Astro light is. It focuses the light a little more. I thought I saw something over here a second ago. Make sure there's no damage to any evap lines because they have to go up to the front. It uses engine vacuum. I believe these already also have a vacuum pump in the system. I have to look that up and make sure, but I'm going to look around here a little while, and if I find something, I will certainly show you. I got that a little sealed a little better up there, but it looks like my adapter's bleeding down a little. That's probably the problem. Stop it. I'm gonna have to get a new, that's not that old. It leaks down, I guess, a little bit, but I have to keep going up and repressurizing it. But I am seeing some smoke around here. Just having a very hard time finding out from where. I keep seeing a wisp back here. I don't know if that shows up on camera, but if I move my light away and put it up there, it's a little easier to see. There's some smoke wisping around here. The problem is from the canister or the tank. It's pretty easy to see most of the canister. They do crack. Alright, that's how you're gonna be. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. I definitely have smoke in there. There's just not a lot of it. Let's do this. Let's go evaporator system check and special functions. Probably gonna have to start this thing up. We got 15.2 psi right now. About atmosphere. 14.7 or so. Activates the purge, VSV, vent valve, vacuum pump, and fuel VCV to draw and release vacuum in the system. System operation can be confirmed by using the vapor pressure during each test. So we go next. To prevent damage, the diagnostic tool will automatically stop the pump when pressure drops to minus 33 inches of water. Refer to the repair manual for more information. Do not operate the vent valve and vacuum pump continually for more than 15 minutes at a pump continually for more than 15 minutes at a time. What? Repeats the same thing. Let's see if it tells me to start the engine or if I have to know that. Press next to move to the following step. This vehicle is equipped with a key-off monitor evap system. Gauge pressure should be used to diagnose. Please refer to repair manual for additional information. Confirm the following conditions. In park, ignition on, engine off, fuel temperature below 95, fuel level less than 85%. Well, it's pegged at full. That could be what happens too. If there's too much gas, the smoke won't come out the fuel tank module because it can't get through the gasoline going in the filler neck. So you're better off with like 3/4 of a tank or so. The filler neck has to be exposed to the vapor portion of the tank. The smoke's not going to really go through the gas too well, I don't believe. At least I would assume it wouldn't, and that's been my experience. Fuel level less than 85, fuel door closed, battery more than 10.5 volts. Automatic mode will simulate the system monitor. If a malfunction is present, a DTC will be set. This allows you to activate several components at one time. Vapor pressure. This test can take 8 to 15 minutes. I think it's going to not even let me because of the gas gauge, but we'll see. I'm going to try it anyway. Initiating the test, wait 10 seconds. Close, on, off, vacuum pump off, vapor pressure the same, waiting time 8 seconds. This test will take a while, so I'm going to let it run. It'll go through it automatically. It'll tell me if in the notes if I need to do something like start the engine or anything like that, but I believe this can do it with the vacuum pump, but that's only a portion of the test. The other portion it will run the engine for. So we're going to let this go and we'll come back and show you anything that changes. Okay, now a minute and 15 to turn the vacuum pump on, and I can see my vacuum dropping pretty rapidly. It went from 15.5 or so pressure to 14.9 and 0.3 vacuum, basically is what that is. So we're going to let this run and see what happens. The purge is closed and the vent is open. It'll close one of them and it'll look for a spike in the pressure or in the vacuum to change and know that something happened when it closed the valve. One of these two changes state. Got to look for the pressure to change state. The time isn't important, so I can leave it down just barely, try to get them all on the screen here. Let's do this. And this shows you also that the purge is normally closed when it's off and the vent is normally open when it's off. So what happens is you don't want to pull engine vacuum on the system all the time. So normally that one's going to be off. And when it wants to pull purge, it turns it on to open it to let the engine pull vacuum on the evap system. The vent valve in the back of by the tank is actually used for testing. So what it'll do is it'll close the vent solenoid so that the system's closed, where it would normally be open when it's off. So it can vent, it closes so it can no longer vent. And at that time it'll usually close the purge as well, and then it'll watch to see if the pressure drops in between the two solenoids, which is where the tank and all the lines are. And if that pressure drops or leaks off, or actually the pressure will rise, vacuum will reduce. It's kind of confusing, but let's say atmosphere is 14.7. Anything under that is pulling a vacuum, anything over that is pressure, right? So generally if it goes back towards 14.7, it's a pressure rise. Vacuum is reducing because vacuum's at the bottom of the scale, right? So now this has been going for a while now. Nothing's changed. 4 minutes and 15 seconds. It still hasn't changed the state of either of these solenoids. But this system's only purpose is to capture fuel vapors when you get gas, and when the tank heats and cools and changes pressure, it would normally vent fuel vapors into the atmosphere. So what they do is this system is capable of being sealed, and it's capable of being opened and closed on either end. So on the engine end, the purge valve, it will purge the vapors from the canister and dry it out. The vent valve closes when it wants to test, and it's normally open so that when the purge is drying the canister, it pulls air in to allow airflow to pull vapors from the canister to the engine to be burned. rather than just letting them go up into earth. So it sounds complicated, but it's really not. Once you sit down and really think about it, you can basically draw a circle and have the gas tank, the purge valve, the sensor, and the vent valve. And the computer uses the purge and the vent to dry out the canister with a sensor to monitor the two. The sensor would be where the canister is actually. It wants to know if the canister leaks, there's a problem. Man, this is really taking a long time in this part of the test. Maybe I shouldn't have chose automatic, but I think it's going to do it the best way rather than me trying to do things at a certain time frame. There's a chart. It says 30 seconds of this, 1 minute of that, 8 to 10 minutes of this, 30 seconds of that. So it definitely wants a certain amount of time so we can measure decay or vacuum loss. So we'll come back when something changes. Now it closed the vent valve, but my vacuum reduced. It's weird, the vacuum was higher with it open. That is strange. This is at 0.5. This was down to 14.6. So that is quite interesting. I can go back to that and find the hose that the vent valve works, and I can block it off myself and see if that pressure increases or vacuum increases. When that vent solenoid closed, that vacuum should have increased. We can close that vent and see how much that pressure changes, you know, manually with like a rubber cap or something like that. Okay, we're 8 minutes and 30 seconds in. It closed the vent and the pressure went back up. Evap system check complete. Press OK to view pending DTCs. Large leak detected. Control system incorrect purge flow. The engine's not running. How would it know that? That is very strange, because he had a 456 is what he came in for. I'm going to clear codes in case the testing caused that. I'm going to go down to that vent solenoid. Let's see if activate the VSV for evap control, fuel pump idle cut, VSV for intake control. Let's see here, VSV for vent valve. Let's go find the vent valve and I can activate it and at least put my fingers on it, see if I feel it click. But I'm thinking it's gonna, because that vacuum changed the instant it set on. It lost vacuum. That's very odd. This does have a 3 solenoid system, I believe, too. So let me print out a schematic of that. All right, something kind of weird. I'm leaning towards the tank, but I got to prove it out. I can't just go with my hunches. You know this business, how that is. What I've done is I disconnected the hose that goes from the tank and sends the vapors to the canister, and I've plugged that hose on the canister side. If my leak goes away and those numbers improve, then I know it's in the tank. If there's no change, then it's in the canister or that vacuum pump itself. I find it kind of weird that that vent switched and the vacuum got worse. So hit them. That's the only way to learn. This piece here is a very complicated mess. I'll show you a cutaway picture of it if I can find it. I was going to show you a picture where we had to push a. Woo, them Nissan Titans. They're heavy. Got a Nissan Titan out there. Kyle's got to put a starter in it. They're under the intake, but they're not as bad as it sounds. But that's the cutaway of the canister pump module. That's that little. Whoop. That's that little 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch box I showed you. It's basically a little bigger than this picture. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. I mean, I think it's gonna either be something in that or in the gas tank lock ring setup. So what I'm doing is, now that I capped that hose off I showed you, and I'm catching my breath, we're gonna do the same test, see if the numbers change with the tank out of the system. Evap system test. And I'm really surprised it let me do it with the tank reading full. Maybe it doesn't think it's full like the gauge on the dash shows. I'm not sure. 15.2. Oh, stay here, will you? Automatic mode. I want to do the same test. All right, I'm going to go through the test again, and we'll come back. I'll show you if there's anything different. All right, the pump just turned on. See what happens with this pressure here. Before we got 0.5, but it took a few minutes. So it's going to run for a little while. We're only at 1 minute and 20. It just turned it on at about a minute. So we're going to let it go. And then remember, when it opened this, this changed drastically. I wish it'd let you have a graph. You could see, you guys know how much I like to have a minute or two on the screen at a time. You see a glitch, it drops off. You're looking at this, if you don't see it, you happen to look away or blink, you missed it, and then you think it didn't happen. So we'll see what happens when this turns on. All right, it's at half a psi of vacuum, 3 minutes and 30 in, and I think it took about 7 or 8 minutes before it switched this on. All right, we're at the 6 minute 30 second mark. This turned on, and then the vacuum went way up, and then the purge turned on and it went way down. Now they're both off and this vacuum is back up. The purge shouldn't have had an effect on it. Oh no, you know what, it will, because the purge is attached to the canister. I was thinking the purge was attached to the tank because I didn't stop to think. My brain fart. It wasn't a regular one, so the brain ones are okay. Check for codes. Okay, no trouble codes. So this thing's got a problem in the tank, because you saw when I did the test the first time, it dropped the vacuum and it never recovered. And now I've eliminated the tank from the equation, and now it recovers. So we got to drop this tank. We will see if the customer's been in the waiting room. The car's been here like 4 hours, but we got a lot of stuff we had to check and a lot of people waiting, and you saw I was squeezing in some cars real quick. So I'm going to see if he's going to want to fix it or not. He may bring it back another day. I got a big stack of Sebring parts. We'll see what happens next. You got to stay tuned. Ooh, doggy, Sebring time. That's definitely the noise. You drive it around going So we're not going to do all of it. It's got 6 bad ball joints, upper, lower, all that cool stuff. They got me 2 arms and 4 struts. The struts are the main problem, and I told them that those ball joints, they're not terrible, they're just missing the boot. So you can wait till they start to wear. He doesn't drive this thing. They may go 8 years more, you know. 19 millimeter. Always watch your hands. If you're silly like me and you like to bounce them on the floor instead of putting them down, I let them bounce because I feel like it's easier on me. Except if it bounces and smashes your hand, you got to be real conscious of what's around you when you do it. Some of this, some of that. I didn't look and see which ball joints we're doing. I'm just going to lube them all. It won't hurt nothing. It doesn't make them come loose. It just helps them come loose when you loosen them. The phone, it's ringing. Alright. Gonna have to align it too, right? Might as well do this. These are the rear, I believe. Oh yeah. Man, it's been a while since I've done some nice, easy bolt-on ready struts. Woohoo! What the heck? Whoa. That's about as ready as I've ever seen a strut. That's crazy. One's a right and one's a left, I'm guessing, because this is not centered. It's like the whole front end of the car. Just going to reuse the knuckle and the axle. I want to say I've probably done these before, but it's been a long time. These cars are mostly gone. I'll take the wishbone off the strut. I'm going to take it off the arm because we're going to replace the arm anyway. And I believe once you take the bolt out of the top and bottom, you can take this off the bottom of the strut housing. It's the only way it fits out of there. And then upper ball joint and 4 bolts on the top. 18 to 15. Just to keep you on your toes, make you feel alive. I'm gonna get me a little hammer because front end work requires the use of a hammer.
I like it. Get in there. That's awesome.
Aha, that'll do it.
Yeah, good. Well, that's a hell of an interesting strut setup.
You gotta love the Chrysler Sebring, baby.
It came like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
How to make a $300 job into $1,000. The Chrysler Sebring. Oh, yeah. Alright, listen here, man. I see what you're doing. I am going to take this 10 loose so this hose doesn't get any tension on it. Take the upper ball joint loose. I got more room to work in here. And this 1/2 inch is overkill, but I'd rather get an adapter than get out another tool. And you might say, well, it's still a tool. I guess I should have spoke more clearly. Another impact gun. The adapter is a tool just like an impact gun, I guess. That's just a technicality. This is a locked nut. Look up, pay attention. There's a locked nut. There's no cotter pin. But there's a cotter pin in the bottom. Now you could put a splitter on that to push the thing out, but those tools aren't made to completely do the job start to finish. You're really supposed to put a lot of load and then hit it with a hammer. But I don't want to do both, so I just picked one, and that was a fork. Known as a pickle fork in the industry. I'm not sure why. I would think it should be called a splitting fork, but I don't know. What do I know? Someone in the 20s probably named it. It's down here, man. Pay attention. That's right. Stay there. No, okay, you don't have to stay there. You gotta try to make some room. It doesn't really fit out of there. It's kind of strange. I thought I was going to drop it right out. But everything is just a little bit in the way because of the way it's bent. It's alright. I'll leave it right there, like I first threatened. We're taking bolts out of here now. It's about to go down. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's literally about to go down. But we don't want that to happen because it could tear the boot. Let's not get too crazy, Jimmy. Now I gotta be careful too. This could be sharp. I always check to see just how sharp is this contraption I'm gonna be trying to catch. I'll catch it from here. What do you say? It's gonna be a controlled drop, basically. Whew. It's not as heavy as it looks, but it's heavy. Yeah. Now, these two guide pins go up. Right here. That's heavy. Yep. You know what's cool? The upper arm is sprung and it's hitting the wheel well. I gotta unsprung the upper arm. What the heck are you guys doing, man? There is an R on it too, by the way. R. That's the hard part. Now I just got to put the weather stripping back in place. It just slips onto the joint. Ha! A little easier than I thought it was going to be. And the reason I had to put that strut in first is because I wanted to hang the caliper bracket on the strut spring, because to get this lower ball joint out, you got to have this heat shield out of the way. Super cool idea from the Dodge folks. Not really that big of a deal, to tell you the truth, but I felt like complaining about it anyway. Alright, listen here, lug nut. You're gonna help me hold this rotor for a second? Thanks. Appreciate you. Now, take my non-rubbered end. Come on. Don't be like that. Goodness gracious, there it is. I didn't think it was going to be so hard. I can take these two 10s out and get this out of the way. This is the what they call in the Chrysler engineering department, they make the ball joints harder to do bracket. Happen to have a 10 right here. Big crybaby. That usually means something happened. Let me fill you in on my evil plan. I'm gonna hook this on the other side, boop, just like I have this one, and hold this knuckle up while I do the arm. Well, looks like the axle is holding it on the arm and this. It might give me a little bit of a hard time, but I think we'll be all right. This thing's got nuts on it.
Well, I tell you what.
Now I'm gonna need an 18, dang it. You crazy boy. Let's get this.
And I tell you what, I'm probably have to go home and loosen this neck up a little bit.
You gotta loosen up that neck. You gotta do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Whatever.
Making it work.
Yeah, that works out my neck and gives me loop back there.
Want me to give you a drive home? No, seriously.
Suck the life out of you.
Seriously, want me to give you a drive home?
I know you're on me.
I'm here to help. Ooh, doggy. Out of my way, will you? There's not a lot of room in here to get this out, but we'll get it out. I got a sawzall, I got torches, I got all kinds of stuff. That is a heavy cast iron control arm. New one's got an RH on it. Get that back nut on, and you get your front nut on. Good.
I know that one.
All right. Whew. Man, it's a long day. All right, guys, we're gonna end it here. We're all closed up. Everyone's headed out. So I'm a little tired. Front end works pretty hard. Everything heavy, prying and hammering. Anyway, we'll finish this one up tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Torque the like button before you head out. And more than anything, I hope I see you in the next one because you're awesome.